Good evening. I would like to call the February 27, 2025 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 6:34 p.m. Our first order of business will be to elect a chair for this meeting. Do I have any nominations? I nominate Chuck.
I would like to nominate Farina.
A second Chuck's motion.
So I have a first and a second for Farina.
Thank you.
We will
We have to vote on that.
a vote on that. Everyone, all those in favor, raise their hands. Okay. It passes 5-0. I shall turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is public comments. Have you received any requests to comment cards?
No, Chair, we have not.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on an agenda item? Moving on. Our next item is item 3, approval of the February 11th, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any questions, corrections, or comments?
Motion to approve?
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Brown and a second by Approver.
Yep.
All those in favor? Please vote. The motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is item 4, workshop, review and discussion on the City of Sugar Land 2025-2027 strategic plan presented by Brittany Sinclair, and she's Assistant Director of Strategic and Government Affairs. Hi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So again, my name is Brittany St. Clair, and I am the Assistant Director of Strategic and Government Affairs, and I'll be giving you a review of the City of Sugar Land 2025 to 2027 Strategic Action Plan. So just to give you a little background of what went into the strategic planning process. So back in May of 2024, that is when the RFQ process began. We had 13 bids of strategic planning consultants. Then we selected Future IQ to help build our city strategic action plan. The strategic planning process, we wanted to focus on 3 key elements, which is for it to be future-oriented, data-driven, and of course include the people that this plan is going to impact. So this led us to an extensive engagement process, which involved over 1,500 participants. This included residents, staff, and businesses. So just to give you a highlight of all of the engagement efforts we did, we had a stakeholder survey. We had we went to a networking event at Talyard with small businesses. We connected with residents from farmers market. We had focus groups with Fort Bend ISD students, and then we went to the University of Houston so that we could give them an update on the strategic action plan. And then we also had stakeholder update meetings, and then think tank workshops, and lastly, stakeholder focus groups. So there's 4 key elements of the strategic action plan. We wanted to give you an overview of the stakeholder engagement data. We wanted to give you a refresher overview of the strategic outcome areas, which was set by City Council in 2021. This reflects our city's priorities. We wanted to emphasize on our city's vision of being a trailblazing city, and lastly, give you an overview of our all-in initiatives, so the projects that we will be focusing on for the next 3 years. So our city's vision says, we are trailblazers, relentless in our pursuit of good so that our employees, residents, and businesses can enjoy a life better than they can even imagine. And we have 8 strategic outcome areas, and they're not in specific order, but we have finance, which is making sure that we're fiscally responsible; community, making sure that our communities are safe and secure; economy, making sure that they are sustainable and our economy is sustainable and thriving; culture, making sure that we're building community spaces where we can celebrate culture diversity, but also in those spaces, making sure that they are people are feeling welcoming and engaging. Then we have government, making sure our government is building partnerships and relationships on all levels and ensure that it is respected and influential. Transportation, making sure it is connected and convenient. And lastly, infrastructure, making sure that we're building infrastructure not just for today, but for the future of Sugar Land. So this is the bulk of our strategic action plan. We were able to come up with 5 all-in initiatives. Again, this is what our city will be focusing its efforts on for the next 3 years. So the first one is stimulating economic growth. So stimulating new and innovative economic and business growth, also creating job opportunities while investing in our economic prosperity. Enhancing suburban community. So we know that Sugar Land is known for its family-oriented environment. So being able to expand on that, but also create opportunities for us to celebrate cultural diversity. Then we have boosting community reputation. So why do people move to Sugar Land? Why do people love Sugar Land? Being able to build on that, but also highlight current and new innovations. Then we have encouraging community engagement. So you guys know we have a lot of town hall meetings, we have city council meetings, but how can we meet our community where they're at and being able to create spaces where they're able to have meaningful conversations. Then lastly, we have fostering sensitive redevelopment. So this isn't anything new. Redevelopment has always been a priority for us. So fostering redevelopment of key sites, enhancing community amenities, and then of course, providing forward-thinking housing options. So now I would like to go into each of the objectives that fall under each of the all-in initiatives. So the first one is enhancing suburban community, fostering cultural celebration. So we want to make sure or find ways of bringing unique traditions and backgrounds together and being able to get a sense of identity for the city of Sugar Land. Expanding destination opportunities for all, and then building strong community connections. So how do we help residents build connections with each other, but also making sure that residents, community members build a relationship with us, the city? Then lastly, providing quality family infrastructure. So we want to make sure that we're building communities that are safe and secure and welcoming for all family of all sizes, but also for people of all backgrounds. The next all-in initiative is boosting community reputation. So developing an updated value proposition statement. So what is our value proposition statement? Why do people want to move to Sugar Land? Why should they come to Sugar Land? So being able to figure that out and being able to expand on that. Baseline and benchmarking reputation. So this is where we strive to be data-driven. So we want to figure out what goes into a community reputation, what are the key elements in that, and then being able to understand that about a community reputation and then being able to apply it to our city. External visibility and recognition. So when you Google Sugar Land, what do you want to find when you Google it? So what is Sugar Land should be known for, and being able to boost that visibility. Establish broad partnerships that help spur innovation. So partnerships is everything. If we do not build partnerships within the city of Sugar Land, then we are not going to thrive. So being able to build those partnerships so that we could ensure prosperity. And then lastly, leverage social proof and testimonials. So there's so many good things that's happening in the city of Sugar Land. It could be with community members, it could be with staff. So being able to get those stories, draw it up, and make sure that we draw attention to that. The next All-In initiative is encouraging community engagement. So throughout the strategic planning process, what we notice is a lot of people, they want to be involved with the city of Sugar Land, and they want to know what is happening and how could they be of help. So what we want to do is create transparency through civic education and empowerment. We don't want all of our residents, community members to keep coming to City of Sugar Land, to City Hall, to contribute to it, to what we need in any type of workshops, any type of events that we have. We want to be able to meet people where they're at. So being able to create spaces so that we can have meaningful conversations with them. Then we have delivering enhanced services to demonstrate accountability. So when it comes to that, we want to make sure that we are doing our jobs. So if we could be innovative as much as we want to be, but if we are not, exceeding on the jobs that we said that we're providing for our community, then we are not doing a good job. So being able to be efficient on the jobs that we have right now, and then we could start thinking of being innovative later on. Fostering relationships to build trust. Again, we want to make sure that we're bringing our community members, our stakeholders, along with all of the process that we have going on within the city of Sugar Land. We want to be transparent with them, and we want them to be involved as much as possible. And then lastly, developing opportunities for quality discussions. So we want to create spaces where people feel comfortable expressing their opinions and being able to contribute to the city of Sugar Land, and then also contribute to our decision-making processes. Next, we have fostering sensitive redevelopment. As I mentioned earlier, this is nothing new. Redevelopment has always been a priority to us, but I'll draw attention to that. So, of course, fostering a commercial and residential redevelopment environment, creating a forward-looking housing strategy, preparing key sites like Imperial and Lake Point for redevelopment, building partnerships between innovative developers and community, and then lastly, communicating value propositions for redevelopment. And then the last All-In initiative is stimulating economic growth. So fostering an innovation ecosystem. So how do we get companies like Plug and Play in the city of Sugar Land? How do we get Sugar Land to be known as a city of innovation? Cultivating and maintaining our business partnerships while creating jobs, attracting businesses, visitors, and residents. And then lastly, establishing a bold tourism strategy. So what is Sugar Land going to be known for? Why do people come to Sugar Land? What will be our tourism strategy? So all of this covers our strategic action plan, but if you would like to learn more about it, you could visit www.sugarlandtx.gov/trailblazingsltx. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I've just got a quick comment, if you got a second.
Sure.
Bear with me, I'll get there, I promise. I just wanted to comment, one of the things that you put in here was you were engaging students or Fort Bend ISD students and college students, right?
Yes.
I just think that's awesome because, you know, we're looking at a maturing city, right? And we're talking about how do we get young people here? How do we revitalize? How do we redevelop? And I think that's really, really a good thing. So just kudos to your team for doing that. I think that's amazing work. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, I got to find this one too, so bear with me a second. Which trailblazing idea was to host regular citizen summits on key topics. What's the plan for that?
Yeah, so the Citizen Summit, we're thinking about doing that for next year, where we will have different type of events condensed in one. So we'll have opportunities for departments to do like workshops with the residents. We have opportunity for residents to ask questions about what's going on with the city. They could do surveys, anything that you could think of. We just want to condense it into one event where the residents are privy to resources from the city and also be able to engage with city staff.
Got it. My only suggestion there would be calendar those now and make it part of your plan. Because if you just tell us it's an idea, you'll be talking about it in a year. I mean, I know that from personal experience. So I would just suggest as you put this plan in place, you know, you need to have it, we will do this once a quarter or twice a year or whatever the goal is. I would just think you do that. And I think that's a really good, again, another great additive to keep engaging the city of Sugar Land residents. So anyway, thank you.
And we appreciate that. We want to make sure that this strategic plan is a tool that we are actively using, and we don't want to just leave it on the shelf and let it go to dust. Yeah. So we're actively working with a project team so we can start planning the Citizen Summit, but we're also planning other projects right now. You're welcome.
I had one thing, just to echo Commissioner Brown's feedback. There's a lot of good stuff in here. This is amazing, and I appreciate all the effort and time put into this document. To kind of piggyback on Chuck and zooming out a little bit more, can you walk us through the timeline of what happens now, and when do we start to see some of these ideas come into fruition or tangible things that the community and everyone can kind of rally around?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that question. So right now, we are working with Chief Trailblazers who are in charge of each of the All-In initiatives. They've created their own project teams, which has people from different departments and different expertise. So right now, they're just walking through all the projects that they think will be great for the next year. So right now we're just only in the planning process. So we just had the kickoff meeting this past Monday. So we're still it's still new right now, but hopefully within towards the end of the summer, you'll start seeing more stuff coming up.
Awesome. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I have a question. So when do you come back to planning and zoning will there be like a meeting where you do a feedback on how some of it came together? What are the responses?
Of course. So we always want to make sure that we're keeping people engaged, especially our community members. So we plan on doing this on a quarterly basis, but we're trying to reach everybody throughout the community as well. But we definitely have you guys on our list to give updates. We want to make sure that you guys, everything that we're doing is transparent. So we'll definitely be back to give an update on what we've been doing. Yep. Any more questions? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 5A, subdivision plat. Jessica Eccles.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So both of the plats on this agenda tonight are preliminary plats for the Rye Hill development. So this first one is going to be the preliminary plat for DW Sugar Land Entry Reserve. As always, we've included the preliminary plat background slide just to go over the purpose of it, which is to lay out lots and streets to confirm that they all meet the minimum lot sizes and right-of-ways can be met, and that access and reserves are shown on preliminary plats, but things like master notes, signature blocks, and proposed easements are not shown. They're included on the final plat. The preliminary plats are also not recorded. They are just an approval saying that they meet the minimum layout. One thing I did want to also point out is that per the Section 4 graphic requirements of the Development Application Handbook, the dimensions shown on a preliminary plat do not need to be to the 100th decimal. They can be, and if they are, they should be correct, but they are not required to. They're only required to be shown to the nearest whole number. So I just wanted to point that out as well. For this plat, I just wanted to go over as well the Rye Hill development in general, since both of these preliminary plots are in the Rye Hill development. It's a proposed 960-acre master planned mixed-use community in the city's ETJ, and it is approximately mixed with 2,335 single-family residential and Del Webb residential lots. The Del Webb residential lots will be restricted to 55 and up individuals, and the development agreement laid out the minimum lot sizes for both the single-family and Del Webb residential, and they included minimum lot widths for both of those as well. So the preliminary plat for DW Sugar Lane Entry Reserve consists of 16.236 acres, and it includes 0 lots, 3 reserves, and 1 block. Those 3 reserves are restricted to a lift station, a detention pond, and private streets. This is in the Rye Hill development, which is located south of FM 2759 and east of FM 762. And access to this section will be provided via Rye Hill Parkway. And the Del Webb community will be a gated community, so it's going to be the access to this section and to DW Sugar Lane, which is that major collector running through the plat. It's that really long one in this section. That's going to be the collector roadway through the Del Webb community, and it's going to be private and gated. So here's just an excerpt of the Rye Hill General Plan. That's Exhibit B of the development agreement. As you can see, it's going to include that detention pond, and the darker yellow denotes the Del Webb residential. So this is the preliminary plat. I don't know, can you see my, okay, you can see my mouse. Okay, so this is Rye Hill Parkway, which you guys reviewed and approved the preliminary plat for back in December of 2024. So access is going to be from this roundabout and from Rye Hill Parkway, and then come down. This is DW Sugar Land, and then this is going to be Reserve B, which is a detention pond, and then Reserve C is the lift station. And just as a reminder, when reviewing preliminary and final plats, the Commission has 3 options. The Commission can approve with conditions, or disapprove with an explanation. With both the approval with conditions or the disapproval with an explanation, code sections must be cited. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed DW Sugar Lane Entry Reserve preliminary plat, and staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for staff?
I do. I have a question. And y'all know I went through this plat, and you've obviously beat me to the punch on the changes that you've seen. And I just want to say for future plats, this, as I understand it, is a software issue when these things are platted. As long as the city is okay with what was put forth by the developer, since the increments being off are so small, I don't need to make any comment on it if staff is okay with that.
Okay, so the sheet that you know is actually going to be for Section 3. This one for DW Sugar Lane Entry Reserve, staff actually has no issues with the dimension shown on it.
Okay.
If there are no further discussions, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
For the consideration of an action of DW Sugar Lane Entry Reserve preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second.
Please vote. Did it pass? Okay. Oh, it's up there.
Are you going to read those changes into the record?
That's for the next one. Our next item is 5B, consideration of an action on Rye Hill Section 3 preliminary plat, presented again by Jessica Eccles.
I'm going to read it all at once. You going to read all this at once? Okay.
Okay. So for this item, this is going to be the preliminary plat for Rye Hill Section 3. Because this one includes residential lots, we've included the box exhibit background slide. Box exhibits are only required for preliminary plats, and they're only required for the preliminary plats that include residential lots. And the purpose is to demonstrate that the proposed lots meet the required minimum lot width at the front build line. Those boxes do not represent building footprints or pads. And boxes can be shown on all lots, but they're only required to be shown on lots that are non-perpendicular to the street. So those lots that are on any curved street or cul-de-sac. So an overview of this preliminary plat, this is Rye Hill Section 3. It consists of 46.543 acres and includes 115 single-family residential lots, 8 reserves, and 4 blocks. And it ranges from lot widths from 40 feet to 45, and then those corner lots are going to be an additional 10 feet. Again, this plat is located in the Rye Hill development, which is located south of FM 2759 and east of FM 762. Access to this section will be provided via Rye Hill Parkway. And here's another excerpt of the Rye Hill General Plan showing this section. As you can see, there is an amenity center included in this section. The lighter yellow denotes the single-family residential, and then there are 2 detention ponds that will be shown in a reserve. So this is sheet 2 of the preliminary plat. The first sheet is just the overlay because this is spread out between 2 sheets with a match line. This is the street that connects to Rye Hill Parkway, and then this is Reserve A, which is for the amenity center. And then Reserve G down here is going to be for that lift station, and then it's going to connect over into the next sheet, which is this one. It's a little bit longer because it includes these 2 detention ponds that are included in Reserve E. And again, because this includes residential lots, a box exhibit is required with the preliminary plat to show that it meets the lots meet the minimum required width. And so you'll see that the ones that are on cul-de-sacs or on a curved right-of-way include those boxes, and those corner lots are an additional 10 feet in width. And this is the second sheet of the box exhibit. And again, just as a reminder, the Commission can approve with conditions, or disapprove with an explanation, and both the approval with conditions and the disapproval have to include code sections. And with that, staff is recommending a conditional approval of this plat. The first condition is that the restricted reserve G is revised to restricted reserve H in the reserve table on sheet 3 of 3, as required by the Development Application Handbook, Section 4, Graphic Requirements for preliminary plats, Development Chapter 5, Article 2, Section 5-17, and Development Code Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. And then at the beginning of the meeting, I handed you all some additional conditions that staff would like to include. So staff is also recommending that the following dimensions on preliminary plat shall be corrected as required by the Development Application Handbook, Section 4, Graphic Requirements for preliminary plats, Development Chapter 5, Article 2, Section 5-17, and Development Code Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. And then the following dimensions are the street dimension adjacent to Block 3, Lots 1 and 2, changed from 131.49 to 131.50. Street dimension adjacent to Block 2, Lot 12, changed from 224.37 to 224.38. Street dimension adjacent to Block 2, Lots 25 and 26, changed from 58.21 to 58.20. Street dimension adjacent to Block 3, Lot 9, changed from 390.96 to 390.95. And then dimension at the rear of Block 2, Lot 52, changed from 125.33 to 125.34. Dimension at the rear of Block 2, Lot 61, changed from 122.18 to 102.19. And then an additional condition that the following dimensions in the line table on preliminary plat shall be corrected as required by Development Application Handbook, Section 4, Graphic Requirements for preliminary plats, Development Code Chapter 5, Article 2, 5-17 in Development Code, Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. And there is a typo there. It should only be 2 dimensions. The length for line 19 changed from 559.95 to 559.94. And the lengths for lines 18, 20, and 21 changed from 371.01 to 371.02. That is the end of the recommendation, and staff is available to answer any questions.
If there are no further discussions, then here's a question for you. Do I have to read everything you just read? Or can I say,
Yeah. City clerk is saying yes,
So,
that you'll have to read
okay.
it back. Yes.
all right,
Good luck.
thank you. May I have a motion to recommend consideration of an action on Rye Hill Section 3 preliminary plat with condition, to approve with conditions. Number 1 is a staff recommendation that the restricted reserve G is revised to restricted reserve H in the reserve table on sheet 3 of 3 as required by Development Application Handbook, Section 4, graphic requirements for preliminary plats. Development Chapter 5, Article 2, Section 5-17, and Development Code Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. In addition to that, the following dimensions on the preliminary plat should be corrected as required by Development Application Handbook, Section 4, graphic requirements for preliminary plat. Development Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-17, and Development Code, Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. These are the adjacent to right-of-way or back-of-lot. First is street dimension adjacent to Block 3, Lot 1 and 2, to change from 131.49 to 131.50. Second is street dimension adjacent to Block 2, Lot 12, change from 224.37 to 224.38. Third is street dimension adjacent to Block 2, Lot 25 and 26, to change from 58.21 to 58.2. Fourth is street dimension adjacent to Block 3, Lot 9, change from 390.96 to 390.95. Fifth is street dimension adjacent to block dimension at the rear of Block 2, Lot 52, to change from 125.33 to 125.34. Sixth is dimension at the rear of Block 2, Lot 61, to change from 122.18 to 122.19. The third condition is that the following dimensions in the line table on the preliminary plat should be corrected as required by Development Application Handbook, Section 4, graphic requirements for preliminary plats, Development Chapter 5, Article 2, Section 5-17, and Development Code Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-21. First condition, first within that is the length for line 19 to change from 559.95 to 559.94. Second is the length for lines 18, 20, and 21 to change from 371.01 to 371.02. And third and last is that the length for line 19
That
to
one's
change.
that one's a mess up. That one's repeated of the first one, so it should just be those 2 lines.
Just the 2 lines?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay. Scratch the last one. It ends at the lengths for line 18, 20, and 21 to change from 371.01 to 371.02. May I have a motion to
Motion to approve.
approve? Thank you.
I
May have a
second.
Thank you.
Good job, Farina.
And it passes. All right. Our next item is 6A, Planning and Zoning Commission's liaison report.
I had that one. It was February the 18th. I was there in person, and the one thing that was of importance to the Planning and Zoning Commission was there was a vote to give the city manager permission to acquire the land and the land around the Char House and for redevelopment purposes, and that passed. So,
Interesting.
I saw him there.
yep.
Thank you. 6B, City Staff Report.
Hello, good evening. Your next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is going to be March 11th. We realize this is the week of spring break. We do have some important material that we want to bring to you. We are going to workshop some amendments to the subdivision regulations, and we'll also have a public hearing held on that date. And then thereafter, the March 27th meeting, we have some more public hearings that we anticipate being scheduled for that. So we have a lot of meetings coming up with a lot of items, full items coming up on those, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for those. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a final item on our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Second? We're adjourned.